Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Learn Hittite and this is my overview of Proto-Turkic. Now the first thing that we're going to do is briefly go over the difference between Proto-Turkic and Old Turkic. Well, imagine you're trying to piece together the parent of today's Turkic languages, like Turkish, Kazakh, Turkmen, Qashqai, Chuvash, and many more famous and lesser known tongues. But you only have fragments of their past, because this ancestral language was never written down. These languages stretch across Eurasia, from the Eastern Mediterranean and the Balkans to Western China and the Russian Far East, forming a diverse family. Yet despite this vast spread, they share a core of vocabulary and structural traits like vowel harmony and agglutinative grammar that point to a common root. And that root is Proto-Turkic, a theoretical model of the Turkic family's ancestor. Not a language anyone actually spoke, but a reconstruction. It's built by comparing patterns across descendant languages, approximating what might have existed before the Turkic people split, somewhere between 2000 and 500 years BC. We can look at the vowel and consonant inventories of attested daughter languages and compare them with one another. We can analyse sentence structure and morphology, searching for commonalities that hint at a shared past. We can trace the oldest lexical items across the family and even identify relic Turkic features in neighbouring proto-languages. By combining all of this together, we can slowly extract the rules of our Proto-Turkic model. We can represent the relationship between Proto-Turkic and its daughter languages using a tree model, as you can see on screen now. Regular viewers of this channel have probably seen language family trees before and know that there's almost always debate in the field about how exactly the branches should be arranged. And that's okay. Our understanding evolves as new data emerges. However, the initial split into the two primary branches of Turkic is fairly uncontroversial. If we go back further in time and consider what might have preceded Proto-Turkic, we enter a much murkier realm, pre-Proto-Turkic. This hypothetical stage may ultimately connect with neighbouring proto-languages such as Proto-Mongolic or Proto-Tungusic, though such relationships remain speculative. All in all, reconstructing Proto-Turkic is a little bit like trying to solve a jigsaw puzzle, but unfortunately there's a few pieces missing and a couple of extra pieces have been tossed in from your brother's Spider-Man puzzle. It's important to remember, however, that Proto-Turkic, like all proto-languages, is just a model. How accurately that model reflects the actual language once spoken by Turkic-speaking communities depends on the variety and number of attestations we have available and, of course, on our skill as linguists. But leap forward now to the 6th and 7th centuries AD when the first Turk Khaganates rose in Central Asia. Here we get to meet Old Turkic, the earliest Turkic language we have the honour to actually read, preserved in the Oghur inscriptions of the 8th century. Written in the Old Turkic runic script, it's not a model anymore, it's concrete evidence. Words of war, governance and culture marking the dawn of the Turkic written legacy. Some speculate that mentions of early Turkic-speaking peoples appear in Chinese historical records from the 3rd century BC onward, but these references are shadowy and debated. Proto-Turkic is therefore the abstract starting point. Old Turkic is the first chapter we can touch. Today we'll explore these roots, how they're crafted, what they reveal, and where they take the Turkic language family. The Turkic homeland, where it all began. So, where did the Turkic languages first take shape? The original homeland of the Turkic-speaking peoples is a curious question, and pinning it down is tricky. They didn't necessarily stay put after Proto-Turkic formed, nor were they likely static beforehand. They probably had a multiple of so-called homelands over time. The best we can do is reconstruct the last shared habitat before the proto-language began to diverge. Linguists use clues like Proto-Turkic's vocabulary, so words for flora, fauna or climate that are unique to a region, alongside early loanwords from neighbouring proto-languages to suggest a homeland location. Unfortunately, the data remains inconclusive, with the total area put forward by various linguists comprising a substantial geographic zone ranging from East Kazakhstan all the way to east of Lake Baikal. What is clear, however, is that Proto-Turkic had an intimate early contact with Proto-Mongolic. This probably hints at a homeland somewhere adjacent to the proposed Proto-Mongolic homeland, which we can see on screen now. Early dialects, from unity to diversity. Beneath the Proto-Turkic model lies what some call ancient Turkic, the spoken system that it aims to capture, stretching from roughly 2000 to 500 years BC. This wasn't a uniform tongue, but a fluid system, shifting as its speakers roamed. As it evolved, late ancient Turkic splintered into named dialects that shape today's Turkic languages. The first split, called Oghuric, broke away with distinct sound shifts, setting it apart from the rest, dubbed Common Turkic. You can see examples of this split on screen. Oghur dialects like modern Chuvash took one path, while Common Turkic seeded most other branches. In order to date the split between these primary branches, the word for stirrup offers a clue. It was the same across late Proto-Turkic, but tweaked as the dialects formed. See the variations on screen. Since stirrups don't appear in the historical or archaeological records before the 3rd century BC, the split likely happened after that, a timeline echoed in Oghur's Samoyedic loanwords. Another offshoot, Khalaj, now in Iran, diverged from Common Turkic. From these early named splits, we have the basic structure of the Turkic family tree. Proto-Turkic phonology, the sound of the roots. Proto-Turkic sound system, reconstructed from its descendants, Old Turkic texts and loanwords, set the stage for the family's present-day sound inventory. Its vowels contrasted front versus back positioning, and in the first syllable, length was differentiated. Additionally, there is only marginal evidence for diphthongs. Vowel harmony, a hallmark trait of the Turkic language family, is a phonological rule in which vowels within a phonological word must agree in certain features, typically frontness versus backness. This type of harmony is considered an archaic system that likely predates even Proto-Turkic. Over time, secondary developments emerged in Proto-Turkic, such as harmony based on vowel roundedness. Generally, but not always, the vowel in the first syllable determines the harmony pattern for the rest of the word. The overall consonant inventory of Proto-Turkic is fairly representative of other Eurasian proto-languages, although there are some caveats regarding where these consonants can typically feature in the word structure. Stops split into strong and weak pairs, and only 3 can occur word initially. The glottal fricative likely existed in Proto-Turkic, but was lost in most branches except Khalaj, where it is preserved. Initial nasals are thought not to have existed in Proto-Turkic, raising a curious question to as of whether the Turkic word for what is native or not, since it contains a word initial nasal. Proto-Turkic structure and beyond. Proto-Turkic words often followed simple patterns, with final reduced vowels dropping over time. For instance, the following verb, meaning to milk, went from a longer form in the proto-language to shorter forms in descendant languages. See on screen now. Consonant clusters were rare, word initially or finally. Word order is traditionally reconstructed as subject-object-verb, as seen in Old Turkic and most descendants. Morphologically, Proto-Turkic was agglutinative and utilised suffixes and enclitics extensively, usually with strict rules governing their positioning. The nature of the Proto-Turkic word can perhaps be best illustrated by taking a look at an example from one of its daughter languages. Take a look then at the following Turkish form on screen and note the use of 4 suffixes. Additionally, it's worth noting that Proto-Turkic lacked gender or dual forms. Regarding verbs, the second person singular imperative took the same form as the verb stem, and on screen now we have the reconstructed markers for simple past and negation. Its case system is reconstructible with at least 6 core cases based on Old Turkic and comparative evidence. Instrumental or equative cases are less certain for Proto-Turkic. Reconstructed personal pronouns include first person I and we and second person you, singular and plural, with third person pronouns likely evolving from demonstratives. On screen now we can see a selection of reconstructed Proto-Turkic vocabulary. If we remember back to the beginning of the video, we talked about the uncontroversial early split in the Turkic language family group. On the one side we got Common Turkic, and on the other we had the branch whose only surviving member today is Chuvash. About 65% of lexical items can be compared between the two branches unproblematically. The Proto-Turkic lexicon, as we might expect, reflects the world of Iron Age nomads. Terms related to pastoral life, agriculture and shamanistic religion are common, with particular importance placed on their sky deity, Tengri. Early loanwords offer valuable insight into the contacts Proto-Turkic speakers had with neighbouring cultures. Linguists have proposed Iranian and Tocharian loanwords, as well as numerous borrowings from Chinese and Mongolic. Importantly, these exchanges were not one way. Proto-Turkic also contributed words to those same languages, indicating long-standing and reciprocal cultural interaction. Throughout its scholarly history, Turkic has been linked, sometimes speculatively, to a variety of other language families. The most well-known of these is the Altaic hypothesis. While a deep dive into Altaic is beyond the scope of this video, it's fair to say that all such long-range proposals remain highly speculative. Many of the similarities between Turkic and neighbouring languages are likely due to a real contact, not shared ancestry. That said, some scholars see the strongest potential connection between just Turkic and Mongolic, due to shared grammatical structures and vocabulary. But even here, it's difficult to determine whether the connection is genetic or simply the result of intensive contact over centuries. So, why does Proto-Turkic matter? Rebuilding Proto-Turkic isn't just a linguistic puzzle. It's a window into the ancient world of the Turkic peoples. It allows us to trace not only the migration of people, but also the movement of ideas, as we see technological terms and cultural concepts exchange across ancient languages. By analysing the reconstructed lexicon, we gain deeper insights into how early Turkic communities were structured and how key aspects of their culture and worldview began to take shape. A better understanding of Proto-Turkic also helps us model other unattested descendant languages like Proto-Kipchak and vice versa. It's a two-way street. Reconstructing the past helps us better understand the present diversity, and the present helps us refine our picture of the past. And that's probably going to be all from me for today. I do hope you enjoyed this overview of Proto-Turkic. If you'd like a follow-up going into even more detail, please just let me know in the comments. As usual, like, subscribe, do all of that good stuff for the algorithm. My goal is to actually get this channel to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Maybe it's a relatively modest quantity, but I think for such a niche subject area, it would be a great personal achievement for myself. So every little helps in that regard. You've been fantastic as always. Goodbye for now.